Beginning with Season 4 of Paw Patrol, the series would introduce recurring themes that would change within every season, airing at least 2 new themes a season, beginning with Mission Paw. These themes would become known as subseries. If you're a Paw Patrol fan, then you're probably familiar with the term and have heard this at least come up once when discussing about the series. For those who are unfamiliar with the subseries, it's a groups of programs with a title that is subordinate to a larger series, this being Paw Patrol. There may be several different subseries within a particular series. As we know, Paw Patrol has aired several of these throughout the last 5 seasons since its inception, but you're probably wondering, how does a subseries work? Well, I'll just let this explain it.
I smell profit! Nice!
Several months later.
This effort is no longer profitable!
It's not really that accurate, but I thought I'd do that just for fun, since Spin Master's a toy company and they get tons of profit from the series. But I'm sure you already know how the subseries works. Anyway, the idea of a subseries has been mixed, as of recent, within some people, myself included. And it's a topic that I think needs some discussion on this, as it's the future of the series. And I want to explain where it's looking as of now. There are cases on both sides of the spectrum within the good and the bad side of the subseries. This will be the most debated video I've ever done on the channel, and I'd like to see your opinions on this, as this is an important topic of the series to discuss. You may not agree with what I have to say, and that's your opinion, so I encourage you to speak freely on anything that I mention in this video. This is not a video about which subseries is good or bad. This is on the subseries in general. With that all said, let's get to the good side of the subseries first. As I said before, with every passing season comes new content, which means new themes and new subseries. You can say the new normal rescue episodes, the non-subseries ones in every season, is new content as well. But they don't really offer much to the table, as the subseries do, in terms of new gear, vehicles, new locations, and a bunch of other stuff. The first critical point, I will give Spin Master props for the new content they drop. While it may be a hit and miss with some people, or others will just avoid watching the subseries altogether, they keep the content fresh throughout, again releasing 1 or 2 subseries per season, also giving us small glimpses to fuel our anticipation for the next upcoming subseries to fill the gap between each one, and it seems like they're committed to this. Although, is it a little too much? We'll get back to that later. Along with the new content comes new characters on both sides, with new team members, the Mighty Twins, Rex and Wildcat, and new villains, Sweetie, Sid Swashbuckle, the Copycat, and the Rough Rough Pack, to name a few. I think more people will become more interested in watching a subseries when there is a new character than when there isn't one. Some of these characters are hits and misses at times as well, but overall they're good additions that keep the subseries interesting for the time being at least. The characters are mostly enjoyed by the majority, but there are problems with these characters, especially the new team members in general. Again, we'll get back to that later. And unfortunately, that's all I've got for the good side of things. But now let's move on to the middle ground. For this first one, you probably have forgotten about this, and over the last year or so, I haven't seen anybody bring this up yet. This concept, at least. Once I tell you what it is, then you'll remember. That's how forgotten it was. The original 5 shorts were introduced in Mighty Pups Charged Up and Dino Rescue, and they were 5-minute shorts, as if the name Original 5s couldn't give it away. Very debatable point here, but were these even necessary? I mean, they could have just added some filler into this and made it into an 11-minute episode, just like that. It's not hard, honestly, but I will give some props to the nice camera work they do in some of these, especially this Charged Up sequence at the beginning. Not sure why they didn't do this in the 11-minute episodes, it would have made them better, but it's not a huge deal. Other than that, nothing has changed despite these just being rescue-based 5-minute shorts that did have some decent moments, but not enough to win me over. It's questionable as to why they would introduce it and then drop it in the same year as it premiered. Alright, now this is where things get a little hectic. The bad, and I've got plenty for this one. I'm bringing up characters again because it has a negative side too. When we saw the introduction of Everest and Tracker, they got a good amount of character development, but for the new characters, there is very little compared to them, and this goes for the new team members. The villains I'm not going to touch for the sake of time. Anyway, Takanella got little to no development at all. They do have their powers to distinct them, and they're twins, as well, which is nice, but little development at all. Rex is a little step up over this, being a sweet, adorable little pup, and being able to speak Dino, which makes his character unique, similar to Tracker, who speaks Spanish at some points. Wildcat is another step up, as he does have a fear of mice, and Tracker was the last new team member to have a fear, by the way. Wildcat is confident and daring, again, a good part of his personality, and even learning aspects of what pups do, and even the pups do the opposite with him as well. Might have to move that to the middle because of that. Also, I'm not the best at explaining the entire deal with character development that well, so I need to work on that. But there's another problem with this sub-series, and these characters altogether. This might be one of the biggest problems the sub-series has, and that is these characters are bonded to respective sub-series, meaning that unless that certain sub-series is introduced again, these characters are locked in what I call a vault, and we'll never see them again. Now, we've seen characters such as Sweetie and Sid Swashbuckle appear outside their respective sub-series, and that's only villain characters. They could easily do this with the new team members as well, but here's the problem. It's their abilities. They are only used for that particular sub-series. For example, Takanella have superpowers and are bonded to Mighty Pups. This means that they only appear in that sub-series because of their abilities. It sucks because we don't know if the series plans to bring back that sub-series, as there are new ideas and themes that Spin Master wants to explore. And for them, it might be the best to go on to a new sub-series instead of revisiting the older ones. They have done this so far with Mission Paw, Sea Patrol, and Ultimate Rescue, have all had an episode or two, despite their main tenures of sub-series ending a few years prior. Even though these characters have average development, they're still lovable characters, and they'll always be. We could see them again in the future just for one last appearance in the respective sub-series, or even outside of it, somehow, could work as well. This is another critical point. Realism. Here's why. In real life, a rescue team works on the land, air, and sea. In the series, the normal rescue episodes follow this. Some sub-series, such as Mission Paw to an extent, Sea Patrol and Ultimate Rescue, follow this formula. The others, however, don't really do this. Mighty Pups, Dino Rescue, Moto Pups, to name a few, aren't following this trend. I know that this is Paw Patrol and the writers can do whatever the hell they want to do with this series, but at least think of realism for a sec. Mighty Pups, for example, isn't realistic to a rescue team. It's just a gimmick, and that's the point with the sub-series in general. It's the sad truth. The sub-series was created for merchandising, and it seems to be the reason why they release sub-series every season. It is because of toy sales, despite how dumb the theme and the concept could be, and how subpar the episodes are sometimes. Kids will still want to get merchandise despite all of this, and I'll bring up this little saying here: quantity over quality. It goes something like this: the amount of sub-series they make, the amount of the profit they'll get from the toy sales, no matter what theme they decide to do. The sub-series is somewhat about money, and basically they'll be swimming in that money like Scrooge McDuck does. Now, what does Season 9 have to do with this sub-series thing? Well, if you remember a week ago, we got this news that in 2022, there's going to be 3 new themes, possibly sub-series in Season 9. Again, more new content. At least this keeps us occupied until 2023, where we'll get the spin-off series and the Mighty movie. So it seems like a good thing, right? Not really. If we go back to all the past sub-series, for the exception of Mission Paw, Ultimate Rescue, and Charged Up, there have been around 6 episodes in each of those sub-series. And since we're potentially getting 3 next year, you times 6 by 3, and you get 18 potential sub-series episodes combined out of the 3. And since there are only 26 episodes in a season, we would only get 8 normal rescue episodes in Season 9, possibly. Now, the third thing for 2022 could also be the 2022 TV movie. That's supposed to happen every year. So it could be that too, but you never know. It could be 3 sub-series. And that would be bad, because it would be obvious that Spin Master is committed to more to the sub-series than the normal rescue episodes. And what about Everest and Tracker? They appear in the normal episodes as well. So with the limited amount of normal rescue episodes, it would lead to less appearances by them, which wouldn't be good for them, possibly, as a whole. And as for the sub-series, they can go as long as they want with this, but eventually, this is going to die, as everything else does. They can't keep the same thing going on forever. It'll just get repetitive. And maybe the younger audience won't see it, but we will. And I just hope this sub-series thing doesn't get too repetitive, or become the main focus of the series. It might already has, lacking in quality, or else I might explore other options for doing content. But I'm still here for now, and I'll give this maybe another few years at best. But other than that, I really hope the series can turn another corner at some point, with the spin-off series and the Mighty movie to provide some hope on that side of the spectrum. But for the sub-series, it's going to be a rough ride to see what happens next, and how long the series stays afloat with the concept. I know this was hard for me to do, as I really didn't want to talk flack about this series, but it has come to a point where I think it's necessary to do so, and the current state of the series is looking alright, but the show is slowly declining in quality, not including the movies, as the years go by. Tell me what you think of the sub-series in the comments. I would love to hear your opinions on this matter, and where we are as of now. And with that, I will see you all again next time. Goodbye.